Did you see them coming? The White Lotus is a show that makes audiences generally more interested in its climactic season finales than other series do. By showing people that one of the characters at the White Lotus Hotel will perish in the end, this HBO staple allows viewers to theorize who will die and how as the episodes unfold. In the first season, we were shown one character watching a coffin getting carried onto an airplane, which didn't betray that many clues. Season 2 stepped things up a notch by opening with a scene that included bodies washing ashore on a beautiful beach. Season 3 gave people even more to work with, as it told us that somehow a gunfight, or sniping session, would occur on hotel grounds and that at least one body would wind up in the water. This contributes to just how shocking the deaths are, as does the rest of the season. Details big and small, from dialogue to imagery to how certain scenes are crafted, also create significant moments of foreshadowing. They can also lead to red herrings, so being able to distinguish between a distraction and genuine signals of future events is important to guess how things will turn out. Both major characters and minor ones have died on the show, but we'll just focus on the major ones: Armand, Murray Bartlett, Tanya, Jennifer Coolidge, Chelsea, Amy Lou Wood, and Rick, Walton Goggins. Now, the fact that a certain character died isn't the only thing that can be surprising. The manner in which they died can also provide shock value. So, judging from not surprising at all to very unexpected, here is every major death in the popular series so far. For Chelsea may be one of the series' most likable characters, but her death was so heavily foreshadowed that it felt more like a matter of course than an emotional or dramatic shock. She was held at gunpoint during a robbery, she got bitten by a venomous snake let loose by her beau, and she reacted to these incidents without too much concern. However, things she said were pretty ominous. Bad things happen in threes, for instance, suggesting that a third and more dangerous event would befall her. Might have brushed that off because Chelsea is so superstitious, but she says numerous other notable things as well. One that definitely sticks out is when she compares her situation to the Final Destination movies, which consist of characters who get killed off one after another. She also says that death is coming for me and that her fate is intertwined with Rick's. Since Rick came across as someone who's also at high risk of dying, it would make sense for this romanticized view of their relationship to foretell their doom. Underscoring all of this was the fact that Chelsea didn't have much to do in the show except get put in danger through no fault of her own and try to help people. From a storytelling standpoint, someone this charming and pure of heart feels more like a walking symbol of why revenge yields only more pain. In light of what she said and did, Chelsea's unfortunate fate is so telegraphed that it counts as part of why Season 3 was off. One of Walton Goggins' best TV roles, Rick is visibly grumpy. He's clearly dealing with an ethical dilemma that's so significant he won't even tell the person closest to him, and we're told so little about his profession, let alone how he can afford to stay at this hotel, that it seems he's got a major criminal past. This man probably poses a danger to at least one of the other guests, and his therapy is another sign that he's contemplating violence. There's also the fact that he let out a bunch of snakes when he got high, which is some pretty heavy. Foreshadowing of the violent madness he might unleash in the finale. Sure enough, when we learn that he came here to confront the guy who killed his father and Chelsea references Inigo Montoya, it feels pretty likely that the gunfight will be started by him. After all, if a character spends an entire season wondering if he should kill a guy and claims he just wants to talk to him, chances are there will be blood. It was interesting to see Rick face Jim in episode 7 and not kill him, but repercussions for such an act were undoubtedly on their way. Also, there are so many clues about what would happen in the finale of Season 3, many of which come from Rick's girlfriend Chelsea. She calls him a victim of his own decisions, which sure makes it sound like he's going to get shot after shooting someone else. The only slight surprise was the way in which Rick was shot. We could tell that Gaytok would probably be the one to shoot him, but getting shot in the back while carrying Chelsea out in the open was perhaps a less defensive posture than some expected. A tragic moment, for sure. Tanya McWee. Of all people, who knew that Tanya would go out guns blazing? While it seemed like she was in danger when she went to the opera with her suspiciously nice friend Quentin, Tom Hollander, who falsely confirmed that a woman sitting nearby was the Queen of Sicily, things seemed even more ominous when Tanya saw the man having sex with someone who was supposed to be his nephew. When someone as loopy as Tanya realizes that she's in a dark situation, it's definitely time for viewers to be concerned for her safety. There is more reason to worry once she winds up on Quentin's yacht, making her death something that the show gradually yet skillfully built up to. But that doesn't mean that the way she died couldn't be shocking. First of all, the intensity of that scene in which she kills all the men who've been holding her hostage is surprisingly intense. She's a better shot than you'd think. Also, the fact that she blasts her way past all these guys actually gives us hope that she might survive the ordeal. Then, suddenly, Tanya slips on her way down to the smaller boat, hits her head, and sinks into the water. It's a classic, klutzy moment that would feel contrived had it happened to any other character. However, it makes perfect sense for Tanya, mixing shock value with dark humor in a way that goes down as one of Tanya's greatest moments. Armand. Easily one of the series' greatest characters, Armand dies in a way that's probably the hardest to predict throughout any single season of The White Lotus so far. For starters, the season begins with a coffin getting transported onto an airplane. As opposed to Season 2 showing people floating on the water, this made it hard for fans to know where the deceased was killed. After all, it probably wouldn't be the airport itself. This also made it difficult to know who to rule out. A coffin would only be put on a plane because the corpse would have been from a different country and it's getting sent home to be buried there, something that applies to literally all the guests at the hotel. The audience could tell that Armand wasn't a Hawaii native from his accent, but that's hardly a hint. This introduction basically told us that someone would be dead, and Shane, Jake Lacey, would be in a really bad mood. Now, the rivalry that Shane has with Armand is a sign that things might escalate, but who knew that it would lead to Shane killing him? The notion that Shane has been upset about his marriage was probably enough to distract most viewers from the notion that he might kill a person too. Armand's drug abuse throughout the season was another sign, but an overdose seemed more likely than Armand taking a dump in Shane's luggage and getting stabbed accidentally. Overall, this may be the show's best use of subtle,